Good morning, RMS, Colby College, University of Texas, and Ms. Lutz's class. This is Ms. Studer with your Red Fox Report. You can see I'm outside today. It's gorgeous out here. It's so beautiful. It's a little chilly, and it's definitely windy. Huge northwest wind coming. But I have a friend who lives down here, and I'm literally beside her house. Her house is right here, and I'm standing beside it because it cuts that northwest wind for me. As you can see behind me is Lake Wentworth. Lake Wentworth is this beautiful lake I live right next to. Well, not right next to, I can't afford that. But my friend here has a cabin right down on the lake, so I get to come down here all the time. I kind of move you around a little bit, make you be able to see the house that's next to where I am, but you can see like this whole area of lake here. So you can see in the eastern sky, the sun is rising. This is why I'm going to have to start making these in the afternoon because literally 7 days from now, it will be dark at this time. So I don't know if you've noticed, but that sunrise, sunset is getting like closer and closer and closer together. Those days are getting shorter. So I wanted to come out here and show you Lake Wentworth because it's this really important feature of this landscape. I live in the lakes region, and that means there are a lot of lakes around me. And I live, as the crow flies, like less than a mile from this lake. This lake is about 3,600 acres of lake top. Of lake. It's about 80 feet deep in some spots. Mostly it's about 25 feet deep. It's pretty cold. See a lot of people out here fishing for bass, large and smallmouth bass, lake trout, that kind of stuff. Lots of people swim in this lake. Lake is very clear, usually pretty cold. It's not super deep, so it does warm up in the summer. But it's part of the watershed. And that's what I really want to talk about today is a watershed. You gotta love your watershed because this really tiny piece of water next to like big pieces of water, this tiny piece of water along with the Warren Brook wetlands that you can't see, but they're right down there, and I'll probably do some Red Fox reports from there because that place is special. You know, this whole area is part of, so you have Warren Brook, which is part of the Lake Wentworth watershed. You have Lake Wentworth, which flows into Lake Winnipesaukee, which is part of the Lake Winnipesaukee watershed. Lake Winnipesaukee, which is huge, Lake Winnipesaukee feeds into the Merrimack River watershed. Now, this is starting to get into some geography you might not know, but I grew up right near the Merrimack River, the Nashua River. I grew up in Nashua, so these big river systems meant something to me as a kid, for sure. Of course, they were grossly polluted back then, but that's another story. So these watersheds are so important to the flow of water, especially if you live downstream. You know, I live up here. I don't really think so much about water. My well, even this summer, didn't even come close to running dry. But boy, watershed, watershed, gotta love your watershed, watershed. I think that was a song I learned at some camp somewhere sometime in my past. But it's true. You gotta love your watershed. You gotta love your watershed. You know, to us, this is this great place to come swimming. To everything else that lives here, this is an essential feature to the waterscape around here. Notice how I say waterscape and not landscape because there's a waterscape here. I live in the lakes region. Really, most people have a waterscape or lack thereof, and it really determines the kinds of creatures you get. What birds do you get? What animals live around you? Because the water is super important. So on this 2 days before Thanksgiving, when most of us don't get to travel very far or get in big family gatherings, and we're all like, I'm eating dinner with my sister and my mom, so it's going to be 3 old ladies eating together. But I look at this landscape and it seems so eternal to me. And I am grateful for it. I am grateful for 2 people to eat dinner with on Thursday. I am grateful for the watersheds. What are you grateful for? What are you thankful for? It's something to think about. I think an attitude of gratitude is a great way to live. And I try really hard to live my life that way. You should give it a try if you don't. You know, there are always going to be things wrong. There are always going to be things that bug you. There are always going to be things that aren't going quite the way you planned. Be grateful for the stuff that did. Be grateful for the ability to have a plan. Be grateful. Have a good week. I'll see you next Monday. This is Ms. Studer with your Red Fox Report.